In this future music tutorial video, we're going to use Leonard Digital's Sylenth1 to create this stacked EDM style supersaw chord sequence. We'll begin by initializing a new instance of Sylenth1 on a blank MIDI track. Here's the chord progression we've programmed on the MIDI track. Sylenth1 is currently only playing back 3 notes at a time, so we'll increase the polyphony value to the maximum 16. And then we'll turn up part A's amplitude release, just for a bit more length in the notes. The synth features 2 parts, A and B, and each part features 2 oscillators and its own filter. Each oscillator can output up to 8 unison voices, so we'll increase oscillator A1's voice amount to 8, thickening out the sawtooth tone. This increases the level quite a bit, so to prevent clipping, we'll pull down the synth's master volume fader. These 8 voices are all being triggered from the same point in the waveform, so we'll untoggle the re-trigger switch to disable this. Now, by increasing the detune dial, we detune the pitch of these 8 voices against each other. Creating the classic detuned supersaw effect. We can use the synth's copy and paste function to copy oscillator A1 settings over to oscillator A2, like this. And we'll pull down the octave setting to -1. So we've stacked another supersaw oscillator an octave below our first for a more full frequency sound. Now we'll stack an even lower pitched layer via the synth's third oscillator. So again, we'll copy oscillator A2 settings, and then we'll go over to the second part, part B, and then we'll paste these settings over to oscillator B1. And hitting this solo button here means we only hear the currently selected part. So we're soloing part B now. Again, we'll add a touch of release on this part's amplitude envelope. And then we'll transpose oscillator B1 down to -2 octaves. And this layer is going to provide the bottom end. A touch more detune will give this layer even more thickness when blended with the first 2 oscillators. Now we're going to add a touch of fizz and bite by layering some white noise using the 4th oscillator. So we'll turn up oscillator B2's voices and we'll change the waveform to noise. And we only want to mix a small amount of this in behind our saw oscillators, just to add that brightness. So we can hear each part in turn now, each consisting of 2 oscillators. And then we can untoggle solo to play our 4 oscillators together. Now we'll apply Sylenth1's built-in EQ, boosting the upper mid frequencies slightly at about 1 kHz. This tilts the overall frequency response of the chords towards the upper mids to really brighten up the sound and add some bite there. We've synthesized our main chords, but we can now use a second instance of Sylenth1 to add a bass layer underneath that will underpin everything. So we'll duplicate our first synth track. And on this new track, we'll go into the MIDI region and we'll delete the chord notes to just leave the bottom bass notes. In the synth, we'll turn all of the oscillators off except oscillator A1, because we only need one oscillator here. And we'll pitch it down to -2 octaves. And then we'll pull the stereo knob down so this sound isn't quite as wide. And then we'll apply this part's low pass filter, we'll turn it on here, and we'll add just a touch of drive. To give this layer some punch in the mix, we'll apply some of Sylenth1's built-in compression, tweaking the attack and release just to get the right amount of punch there. So when combined with our original patch, we've got our 2 layers now, we can hear how we've really backed up our original chords with this lower layer. To add to our riff's overall timbre and character, we can add in an extra layer, a 3rd layer, with a new instance of Sylenth1. But now we're only going to play the top line notes. We're going to delete all the bottom chord notes. So we're just leaving the top notes in here. And for this layer, we've chosen a basic single oscillator pulse wave patch. So it provides a nice tonal contrast when layered with our other detuned layers. What we're going to do now is bus our 3 riff layers together to a single group so we can gel the layers together with effects. We've got a basic EQ plugin here, rolling off unnecessary bass and treble. We've then got some analog style compression, just gluing things together. There's a touch of limiting to catch any rogue peaks. And then finally some sidechain compression to really get the riff pumping. And we haven't used any of Sylenth1's built-in reverb or delay effects on any of our layers, so we can now apply spatial processing over all of these via external plugins. So here we've sent our riff group signal to a dense reverb, and also a ping pong delay effect. So here is our final stacked chord sequence in action.